There is power in personal stories. It connects us, it empowers us, and it holds us accountable. It creates understanding and expands our perspective. This is Big in the Community with Jonathan James at the Kalamazoo Promise, a podcast aimed to highlight local leaders, collaborators, and innovators in the greater Kalamazoo community.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this very special episode here today. It is the 31st episode of Big in the Community. A lot of you guys may be wondering, this does not sound like Jonathan, and it's not. My name is Cain Sandoval, and I am the media production intern here at the Kalamazoo Promise, and I will be your host today. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our two guests, Kayon Martin and Jonathan James.
You want to go first?
I'm going to go first?
Yeah, you go first. Why not?
For sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Kayon Martin. I am the digital media and marketing manager here at the Kalamazoo Promise.
And I am Jonathan James, community engagement manager here at the Kalamazoo Promise.
Look at us.
Yo.
But no, today is a really special day for us. This is episode 31, as Kane mentioned. So we have hit 30 episodes. You know, that's a record for us here at the Promise.
Impressive.
Well, we broke the record at 25.
So we've been doing this.
We've been doing this.
Okay.
Been doing big
But,
things.
like, we're starting, like, a new season, you know. We're stepping
New
into
season.
some newness in here, you know.
Okay.
This is 20 years of the Promise, so it's a pretty big deal what we got going on here, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to be able to reflect on the first 30 episodes with Jonathan and Kane here. Jonathan, you got any words, man? What's up?
I mean, it's crazy. It's been 30 episodes. We interviewed 30 people and got 30 different stories. That just speaks to the work that we're doing.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
You know?
It's big.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to you know, dive in. No pun intended. If you know, you know. But Kane, this is your show, man. Take it away.
Yeah, man. So I'd just like to ask you guys a couple questions. I feel like you guys host the show and behind the scenes, but I feel like you yourselves are actually both big in the community too. So I'd like to ask you guys a couple questions, if that's okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So Jonathan and Kayon, can you share a little bit about your journey with Big in the Community and how did it all start?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So this started with Dr. John, Deep Dives. I was like, hey, we need to do a community series. We got all these different community partners, all these people doing this work, and why don't we highlight their stories? Why don't we, do a series of deep dives? And he was like, you don't need me for that. You got it. Little did we know he was about to go on a whole nother journey somewhere else and, next step of his career. And he was kind of preparing us to move in a different direction, which I did not know. I was like, okay, I guess I could do it. I was nervous, got ready, practiced with coworker Sarah Clerk. We have an unreleased episode with her. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could release it, but
Yeah.
she didn't sign the waiver.
Nah.
So
Sounds like Sarah.
Even though technically we could, but we could because she works here.
Yeah,
But
right.
like we're not gonna do it.
creative
like that, you know.
materials, whatnot, creative works.
She personally requested that we don't.
Yeah.
So
And we
just-
respect that.
Of course, you know.
Yeah, you want to add?
I mean, pretty much all of the sentiments that you shared. For me, this was going to be my first podcast that I was lead producer on. For the audience who's been tracking and kind of following our podcasting journey, I was the intern for a little bit, co-producer. And to an extent, I'm still co-producer now. Of course, Giselle, our digital media specialist, was very instrumental in the beginning episodes of the podcast. So to take on this project as like, lead producer, it's like, okay, well, like I'm the one that has to, branding and, make sure we're set up on all podcast platforms, make sure social and stuff like that is good so that we can be able to, promote this platform and promote what we're doing, through podcasting. And so that was a big project for me, especially coming on full time. When we started this, it was like, ooh, this is a big project. And honestly, I couldn't tell how far it would go. Honestly, I didn't know whether or not we would make it to 24, let alone 25 or even 30, 31 now episodes. So just to see how much this has grown and just to see how much growth Jonathan and I both have had since the first episode, it's been pretty cool to see.
Oh, yeah, man, it's been cool to witness it with you guys. So, and what specifically made you guys want to focus on just community leaders and their impact?
It all ties back to exposure.
Yeah.
Do people actually know the work that's happening? It's another avenue of community engagement. I can go and table an event, but there's a lot of people who have technology, phones. It's in their hand 22 hours of the day. And it increases access for people to learn about these resources. I saw all this stuff and was like, why aren't we excited about this? Why aren't we promoting this? Even the fact that we're just doing this. Yeah. It's not like they pay to be on here. We're not making money off of it. It's just another part of the work that we're doing to help uplift our community.
That's awesome.
Yeah. In relation to celebrating 20 years of The Promise, I think, at least for me in my role, I think the biggest goal for me has been to tell the story. And with 20 years coming up, how do we put what we've done, 20 years of work, how do we tell that story to people as we prepare to do another 20 years of, transforming our community alone, and being that, leader in education and stuff like that? How do we set that up? How do we tell that story? How do we market ourselves? How do we make sure that our brand is still relevant and is still active and stuff? So that's been my biggest goal, and I think this podcast has contributed greatly to that goal leading up into this year.
Definitely. I would agree too. So with 30 episodes, that's a lot. And I imagine you guys met all types of awesome people. Is there any episode that just sticks out to you, or there's something that you really took away from it?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
I want to. They're all amazing. They're all great.
Yes. Disclaimer.
But as far as being cool, you got to talk about Jake Cool.
Jake Cool.
Man, his story, that got me. As, what he went through growing up. And I'm not going to say it all, because if somebody's listened to this one for the first time, then it gets them to listen to the other one.
You can go listen to it.
His story was just amazing. It was inspirational. And it just made me think,
episode 20 to be exact.
Yep.
Oh my!
It's just why don't I have that same energy, that same approach to life, that same just seizing every opportunity that I have. I try to take a piece of everything that was shared and then put it into my own life. This whole thing has been professional development. These are all professionals in different sectors of the workforce. Right. And I've firsthand heard their story, helped share their story, and then taken pieces of it that relate back to The Promise and the work that I'm doing here. So just doing all that, I don't want to, I did single out one episode, but every single one was amazing.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say from my standpoint, kind of being not on the mic, but behind the, what do you want to call it?
In the producer chair.
Yeah. See, you get it.
Behind the curtain.
Behind
like
the curtain, behind the scenes and stuff.
The wizard.
Fun fact, I played The Wiz when I was in high school in a musical.
No way.
For the people that are listening, if you know, you know.
We're getting a piece of the story right now.
You know. But it's funny that you mentioned that. That was hilarious.
The episode that stuck out to you.
Yes, the episode that stuck out to me. Well, it wasn't. I can't even say there were episodes that stuck out to me. All of them really stuck out because a lot of these people I have never met before. Some of these people I have met before. Most of the guests that we had, they've known me since I was born. Mm-hmm. So like Monteese, Reverend Dr. Addis Moore, to Adaya, Jones, who else? Johnny Berry. Mm-hmm. So like those episodes, at least for me personally, they stuck out because I got a chance to learn a little bit more about them. I know, of course, I know of them. And I know them because of how close they are with, my family and whatnot. But to be able to actually listen into their stories and really be able to pull some things from them, it's like I feel like I've known you for so long, but I didn't really know. Like it was like there was more to it, and so then to pick those things up, and it's just like, oh wow. So then it kind of makes like the whole picture of them. It's just like, okay, you had to put in some work to really get here. It's not just surface, from what I just seen growing up. No, there's actually more to it. There's more depth to the stories and whatnot. I'd say if there was some insight that I grabbed from one of the episodes, it was with James Devers, Executive Director of Communities and Schools, who was also in the office with us. Episode 10, if you want to go back and listen to it, he had shared something. It was like, he said, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And I want to say that episode was talking about purpose. It was talking about, wanting to do the work and being passionate about the work that you're doing. And so I feel like I've taken that within this year alone and tried to keep that, like, okay, no, we need to make sure that we're practicing this so that it can be perfect. Even though nothing ever is, but the more we, work at it, the more we get better at it, it'll come close too. Yeah. I think so. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And how have these conversations evolved your perspectives on community engagement and leadership?
You get to go first.
I got to go first. I would say it has definitely evolved my perspective being a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo. I know, Jonathan, you've talked about it even on episodes, the fact that we've been here for so long, and yet there are things that we still do not know about Kalamazoo and about the resources, about the organizations that even exist and the purposes that they serve. It's like, I feel like I know that I've known everything, and I don't know everything. I know just a little bit. And it's like being exposed to all of these, connections and this information. It's like, wow. We think Kalamazoo is this small city, and granted it is, but like there's a lot rooted in our community that I would have never known had we not started this, and meeting people from all these organizations and places I've never heard before. I'm like, oh, but you do this work, and I'm like, I can see why that's like essential to what we have going on right now. You play a part in this, so that's just me and at least one element.
It's what you said, and also the differences between all these different people who are working towards similar goals and seeing commonalities between them, and then even seeing how different their upbringing was, how different they look, sound, the things that like their passion behind it, what they want to see happen in Kalamazoo, it all aligns. Even if it's business, if it's nonprofit, if it's the church, if it's it's really, it brings a light to the humanity in all of us. And I can have my perspective and say, this is what's going to fix Kalamazoo. And even that kind of mentality has changed. So, I might, before I worked here, I might think, oh, Kalamazoo doesn't have this. And you gotta go to Grand Rapids if you want to go to like a Dave and Buster's, or like
Right.
just relatively simple, stupid stuff that I'm like, Kalamazoo doesn't have this.
Mhm.
And then as I'm working to figure out how can we support students, how can we help them be successful, how do we connect them to the community, it's like there's 30 people that we just interviewed that know how to help them
Mhm.
in a different way. Like each one is unique.
Yeah.
And then just making the connection. I mean, even I thought, I was worried at first. I was like, I don't know if this could be a whole show. At first, I was like, I mean, I could get like 5 people to come on here.
No, I remember like we were literally on a prayer. We just gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
And then people just kept joining.
Yeah. I mean, I was confident
Yeah.
that we would get people,
Definitely.
but at the same time nervous, like, what if this doesn't work?
Because people, not a lot of people like to do this. And it's not because they can't. No, they're just not into that.
Yeah.
And of course there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Mhm.
This is just not people's shtick.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, to have the people, even when they come, when certain guests have come in, they're like, I'm nervous. I don't know if they turn out to be like such naturals behind the mic. And it's
Right.
like, you're
not nervous.
not nervous.
Why you lying?
Start running from the mic. Like, you should think about doing this more. Like, you have things to share.
Mhm.
You have a perspective to share. And it's like to listen to all of these people. I think I've maybe only missed 1 or 2 episodes, and I've had someone had to produce for me. But I've been around for a majority. I've edited all the episodes for the most part. So it's just like to be able to go back and listen. And it's just like, y'all, Kalamazoo, hey, it's popping.
Yeah, yeah.
For what it's worth in its own regard, and for our size, there are people here that are doing the work. And I love how diverse our guest list has been. Like you said, we got people in universities, we got people in for-profit, non-profit, private practices.
And now we got them scheduled out.
We got
We got a wait list.
a wait list. Listen,
Hey,
Not
we
to,
made
like,
it.
Not to make a big flex or anything, but it's
emphasis
just,
on big. Emphasis on big.
it's just funny because I really was worried, and now it's like, oh, like we could get you out here like later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is crazy because I didn't think like, oh, we'd be doing that. So
Oh yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah.
really awesome. That's really awesome. Can you guys share any memorable stories or insights from your guests that particularly resonated with you guys?
oh, this is tough. I have to think for a second.
I mean, I had already shared mine with it was James. The practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And that, like I said again, that stuck out to me. Again, it's literally a sticky note that I wrote, and it's sitting right here. Like I wrote it when he said that. I literally wrote it on a sticky note, and it has been on my desk. We released that episode back in January, and it has been on my desk. It has been on my desk now for a full year. So, I'm talking about January of 2024, ladies and gentlemen. This is 2025 now, but I literally had that written the day that we did that, and it's been on my desk because I'm like, that's how I like to operate.
Yeah.
I don't like to put too much pressure to try to make things perfect because then I'm going to stress myself out regardless. But if I work at it, then it's going to become seamless to me, where it's just like if I keep working at it, if I keep growing, eventually it'll get to it'll come close to perfection, at least in my eyes. That's just me, but
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think for me, Johnny Berry's episode kind of stuck out to me because there were a lot of things that he said in that interview that was kind of like calling people out.
Yeah. Call to
even-
action.
Yeah, like why aren't we getting this done? And then even just his story, how he's connected in the community, how deep like his roots are here. It really stuck out to me. Like I was getting drawn into his story. That's just one. I mean, there's others. I don't want to just keep listing them. So
I got
we'll
you.
keep going.
How do your feelings? Ready to reflect.
Right.
How do you guys feel Big in the Community has impacted listeners and the broader Kalamazoo community?
You want me to go first?
I can tee it up for
All
you.
right, tee it up.
I'll tee it up for you. Personally, I feel that. So, well, how about this? I'll read off a couple of numbers. For disclaimer, these are vanity numbers. I'm not going to get into specifics on what age group is listening and all that stuff. I just want to put things in perspective for us. So currently we are at 421 total episode downloads. So we released our first episode, I think, back in August of 23. And this is February of 2025. Granted, now our community is very small. Now, whoever's listening, of course, we're available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and stuff like that. So we're getting audiences from all over the world who are listening. And so I think that's just a first example. You know, there are people that are not even in Kalamazoo, let alone the United States, that are listening to it. Now, whether or not they're actually listening to it or they're trying to do something else, the point is somebody's listening. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like, is people that are listening, how do we get people to just engage? And maybe even like looking a little bit more locally, a lot of people have been able to be like, you know, people, they listen to my podcast episode and stuff like that. You know, they feeling like, you know, a little bit of celebrities, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially with how small Kalamazoo is. It's like for people to be able to pay attention and know that you've been sharing your work, and there's now a bigger audience who can be able to hear your story and how you got to where you got to and what you're doing to continue that work. I feel like it's beneficial, and it serves all the parties. You know, it serves us being able to, you know, put them on a platform and to highlight that. It puts a lot of, you know, benefits back on us, because it's like we're connecting with these people. We're trying to get to the, you know, why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
And what drives you to do what you do? And so I think that's, personally, if I'm looking at it, you know, yeah.
I think it's an excellent network building tool. There's a couple people who have changed positions, maybe moved up since being on the show. I'm not going to take credit. I wish I could, but it's seeing stuff like that and then getting feedback, just people saying like, hey man, I'm famous because of you. You know? I'm like, what? Famous? But getting those little recognitions, and then just running into people and them saying like, oh, I know you. You the promise. Like, I'm like, whoa, don't say that.
Yeah, you should have went with it, man. You're like, I'm him.
What you mean?
But I hope that everyone that's listening to it is getting what I've been getting out of it.
Yeah.
Just learning there's so many different ways that we can support the people in our community. It's really just like brings out the humanity in each one of these people, and then we can know their why. Like, why are they doing this work? And that is to me, that's the best way to get behind someone's work.
Yeah.
Like, if I know what you went through, I know where you came from, and this is why you're doing this work right now, then I'm going to be behind you 110%.
Yeah.
Just because I know, like, you grew up in this neighborhood, you did this or that, you know, everyone's story is unique, but knowing that information now, I'm like, oh, okay, it brings a face, it brings a story, to that email that I get, you know. It changes it.
It gives perspective.
Yeah. I can only hope that for the people that have been guests on our podcast that personally and professionally have been able to benefit from having other people listen, going back to your point, Jonathan, about getting behind their work, I can only hope that the people that have listened to it, to the guests that have been on, that they've been able to find someone that they can resonate with. They can find a story that, you know, seems similar to them, and perhaps even develop a connection with them, and be able to get behind, like you said, get behind their work and support their organizations, collab with them, put on events and stuff like that. I think us serving as that hub and being able to serve as like that connecting piece is like, you know, you're listening to this person, go help, you know, go support their work, go get involved in what they're doing. This is great work, is a way to get involved, especially when they're talking about ways that people can get involved in their work. Like, take advantage of that. That's just my only hope for it, and it's continuing as well.
Awesome. Have there been any unexpected outcomes or feedback from the community that you'd like to share?
I know we had touched on it a little bit. I know I was at an event and one of the guests that we had, she was like, she was like, the engineer producer. Yeah.
Not the engineer.
Producer, engineer, something. I was just like, yeah, that's me. That's me.
All those credentials.
You gotta run with it, man.
Listen. I work in audio. I guess you consider me a little, you know, an audio engineer. To an extent, I ain't gonna, you know.
Doctor, engineer, the producer.
Hey, I be doctoring it up. Y'all hear it. Y'all hear the content. You know, and so, but that was like feedback that like I wasn't expecting to get. You know, people are like, oh yeah, you did good. I was at one of my friend's wedding, and one of the guests, Ray, we hadn't seen each other since.
Yep.
But then, like, it was like some month later, and he was in one of my best friend's wedding, and we had seen each other for the first time since we filmed the podcast. And it was like, he kept looking at me. He was just like, why do I? And then he finally was just like, wait a minute, you did the podcast. And it was like, yeah, that was me. That was, you know. So feedback like that is always good for people to, you know, to kind of touch back. And, you know, for me, I'm behind the scenes. So for someone to be able to be like, oh, you did the, I'm like, oh, I'm not so behind the scenes as I thought. But then again, if you listen to the episodes, I'm called out mostly every single one because of our host, which is cool.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have.
I think it's similar stuff. I think I've gotten like a couple like thank you letters, which were like, oh, thanks, you know. I don't know. I've gotten some feedback where like people are just like, thank you for doing that. I've gotten a couple people who are like, I really want to, but I don't know if I can speak for my organization, or I want to be on the show and genuinely share my story and not be worried about what it might affect on the other side.
Yeah.
Like they want to be genuine, want to share their story fully, but might not be able to do that because of the role they're in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So hopefully we get them later on. But those genuine, like that's what I want to get to.
Yeah,
you know, like I want to get to the conversations where like, you know, like one of the first things I did when I worked here was like meeting with the police and talking to them, their community liaison, and then their community officer, and being able to share like, you know, there's been times in Kalamazoo I got pulled over like 3 times in 10 minutes. I'm going from my mama's house on Drake to on campus at Western. Like that's maybe a mile. And to be comfortable enough to say that to you like across the table from me.
Yeah.
I want conversations like that where we don't feel like we can't share that sort of stuff. Like we're okay with that. I got off on a tangent, so I'm sorry.
Man, it's all good. It's all good. We're here together.
We're reflecting.
Yeah.
If you're listening this far, we're reflecting. Reflect with us.
Buckle up.
All right, Yanni, we just getting started.
Hey, man. Okay, cool. So what keeps you guys motivated to continue producing and hosting this podcast?
Oh,
I think every time we meet with somebody afterwards, I'm like, that was good.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
I mean, even there, like we did one the other day, and we had interviews for a position here, and I was sitting in the room the entire day just interviewing people, which after 8 of them can be draining.
Yeah.
And then I did a podcast right after that, and I was dreading it because I knew I was so drained. I was like, I'm not going to have the energy for this. And then as we started to get into it, I was actually starting.
You start to find that, yeah.
Like seeing that connection, seeing the person's face light up, and then relating with them, making connections. Then it's like, okay, like you brought the energy into it.
Yeah.
And then even it's not so much me. Like it's not me every single time telling my perspective. It's really the guest sharing theirs. So that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm nervous, especially if we get somebody who's like, I'm like, you're full of wisdom. Like, I highly respect you. Like, and I hope I can rise to the occasion for you to be on the show, like right now. So, these two amazing guests with me. I mean, host and guest. I don't know who's the producer this time, but
it's still me.
Okay.
There you go.
It's still me.
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off. For me, on the producing side, podcasting is a very big portion of the work that I do here. And because marketing here at The Promise has been able to expand, it has allowed me to put a lot more effort and a lot more attention towards this avenue of my work, which is contributing again to what I said earlier, telling, the story of The Promise. We can't tell the story of The Promise without including the partners that we work with. We can't tell the story of The Promise without telling the stories of the people that work for the organizations that we partner with, because some of these guests are Promise parents. They've had children that are either currently in KPS, they've graduated from KPS, they're currently using the scholarship, or they've used the scholarship. So some of these guests have directly benefited from the Kalamazoo Promise and the scholarship alone. And so that's what keeps me motivated. It's like, well, while we're telling the story of The Promise, going into 20 years, let's include all parts.
Yeah.
Let's include the people that are working in these organizations that have also been a part of the Promise community in some form of way. But then going back to what Jonathan said, as far as like having such a busy day, I remember we had a podcast and I had like meeting on top of meeting on top of meeting on top of meeting on top of meeting, and then boom, we have a podcast. I'm also a supervisor, so I have supervisory duties that I have to attend to before coming to to produce an episode and or post produce an episode. I have to coordinate a lot of different things because of how much marketing and the media side of things have expanded here. I got my hands on almost everything now, which is not a bad thing. I love it, and I love the work that I do. But this having to be able to come in here, to be able to let loose, laugh, and then, of course, just working with Jonathan. He's cool. But plus, like, the relationship that he and I have built, personally, professionally, I think that's what helps the work get done, because we're both driven and we're both trying to work towards a common goal. Yeah, we're both here to tell the story not only of our guests, but of course represent our organization in that same light. So that's what keeps me motivated.
Yeah, I feel like when you genuinely enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel so much like work.
Especially when you like the person that you're doing it with.
Yeah, especially.
It's like, we can bounce ideas off of each other. Literally this whole podcast came because of a conversation that Jonathan and I had as far as like, well, what do we want it to look like? What do we want the format to be? What do we want the look to be? How do we want the feel to be? We're thinking about the intro that you hear, the lovely intro that you hear. Can you credit who's the?
Oh man,
put him on right quick.
I will say my best friend.
Yeah.
Hey,
there's a long story behind it where I'm not technically his best friend because he had a competition to see who his best friend was.
What?
On his birthday.
Oh my.
Anyway, long story. So I'm technically not the best friend, but
on paper.
Yeah. But he's my best friend. Ashay Fernandez. He produced the music on the podcast. I was just like, we need to get music. I was like, I know someone who makes music, and reached out to him, and then I was just like, hey, told him what the idea was, and he sent me this beat, and I was like, yeah. That's it.
So then when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is smooth.
Yeah.
This is smooth. And then and then you just hear Jonathan's voice on top of it, and it's just like, Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Coming
and
together.
it came together,
Yeah.
and like literally the step-by-step process of even getting this out was just one of just like, you know, we're just coming up with stuff and just seeing it if it sticks. And if it sticks, we're gonna keep it.
Yeah.
A lot of the things, it may be different from the first episode that you've listened to versus the last one that we just put out. A lot of things have changed. The way we structure it, the way conversations are flowed a little bit is like we've been able to take from each episode something, and we've been able to be like, well, you know, we can try this next time. We can try to do this next time. Let's try to something. But we're evolving. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps it. I'm like, yeah, this is dope.
Oh yeah. So you guys kind of touched on a little bit of your other roles here at The Promise, but how do you balance all of your roles and tasks with the podcast and other professional responsibilities?
Can I go?
Go ahead.
I try to just tie it in.
Okay.
Like if I meet with someone and we have a conversation about collaboration, I'm like, and it's a good conversation. I'm like, you want to come on the podcast? And they're like, you got a podcast? I'm like, yeah. Or I meet people or not meet people. I run into people and they're like, man, you've had everybody on your show. I'm like, yeah, but not you.
Hey,
And
this
then
guy's
put him on the spot a
spitting
little
game.
bit.
Right. They're like,
Oh
oh,
my
okay.
gosh, what
I
the-
mean, I guess. I'm
Start
like,
running from this
okay.
mic, man. Start running from this mic.
Oh my gosh.
But it really ties into it. Because community engagement, community collaboration is I don't want to say it's a vague role, but there's so many different ways to do it, and this fits into it. And then plus, like, it's an instant relationship builder.
Yeah.
Like I know how you grew up just because we sat down for an hour and talked about it.
Yeah.
And then shared it. And so it's like, you already know I got your back, and then, you know, vice versa. So it just instantly makes that community connection if it wasn't already there.
Yeah.
So
I'd agree to that same sentiment. I just tie it in. Like I said, coming from my role where it was like everything, you know, I had social media, I got the website, I got merchandise, I got video, I got photo, I got,
yeah, you do everything.
in this case, audio, I got, you know, partnerships and, you know, community marketing and that aspect and that, you know, cornerstone of my work. Now that there are people to serve in those capacities, it allows me to really tune in to this, because it's like I'm responsible virtually for, you know, capturing someone's story and then putting it out to the airwaves.
It's a big responsibility.
That's a big responsibility.
Big.
Emphasis on big.
Oh my gosh.
But like that's rewarding for me. It is very rewarding for me. It's like, okay, I love storytelling. If you know me, and anybody knows, I love story. I love the beginning and the end, but what's that middle?
Yeah.
What did you have to get? What did you have to do? What are some lessons that you had to learn? What are some things that you had to go through to get to that? And like, you know, I'm always about the steps that you took. Yeah, the beginning is cool, the ending is cool, but what is like that you had to get in the field for real to really develop all of these connections, these professional skills, these personal skills, these, you know, all of this stuff. How did we get this version of of who you are right now behind this microphone, telling us your story? And I think that's the most rewarding part, especially, like I said, when I'm learning new things and I can find a part of their story that I resonate with. And it's like, ooh, I remember going through something like that. The fact that I'm telling someone's story and their story is completely different from mine. It's like, well, I'm doing my job.
Yeah. I feel like there's always something you can take away from it.
There's always something you can take away from it, you know? Yeah, that's, you know.
Yeah. If and whoever wants to answer this question, feel free to. But if you could envision the future of Big in the Community, what would it look like in the next, I don't know, let's say 5 years?
So what, we've done 30 episodes in a matter of like 1.5 years.
Yeah. So we hit like 100-ish.
In 5 years, I would imagine we're at
Yeah.
100. That's
At
a lot of
least.
people.
At least.
At least.
But there, And there's that many people.
And there's that and there's that many people to actually talk to. Should they want to stop running from the mic? But I mean, honestly, I'd love to be able to see, even within the next year, maybe we can transition to video. So we can share this, and I'll share this now. So originally, when we wanted the podcast, we were going to start off with video. It was a great idea. We were like, "Ooh, yeah, we're excited, all that, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop." And I think the first 2, 3, or 4 episodes we were able to capture on video
with some difficulties,
just because of the equipment at the time that we were working with. And so my logic was, well, I don't want to have video, audio, video. I don't want that. I like things to be very consistent. I like things to be, if we seen this person, surely we should be able to see this person. Now, perhaps we could venture off into, if we could give an option, like if they want to be on video, maybe we'll have that option. But I'd like for us to be able to get to a video, setting at some point, just so that people can put a name to a face. Of course, you see the name to faces on the images that we post on social or on the podcasting platforms that, you may listen to. But to actually be able to maybe feel what we're feeling in the moment and be able to actually see it would be pretty dope. So that's just something, maybe we get into a live setting, at community events, we start seeing people that we know, be like, hey, come hop on the mic right quick, tell us what's going on, kind of that thing. What else? A new format. I mean, I don't know. I like this one. I mean, of course, we're always, open to change, but I mean, it's I like what we got going on.
I see all that. I'll listen to like other podcasts and like hear how they do things. Like some do a little like preview. Like they'll hop on, hey, in this episode I sit down with Keon Martin and we really dig deep into self-help. And we explore what it means to be Gen Z, millennial. They do stuff like that to kind of kick it off, and then it goes into the next thing. But is that what we want for ours? So like it's kind of like a research best practices. I like the idea for video. People look on here and they'll be like, "Wow, John's bald now." Like you most people know that by now, but that it will increase. All jokes aside, it will increase engagement. More people will watch because they'll be like, "Oh, there's a video tied to it." That's just like how social media is trending. It's shorter clips, that sort of thing.
More engagement. Sorry, more engagement. More engagement.
That's what he looks like now. Dang, he put on weight. Dang, he lost weight. I'm telling you, it's funny stuff like that people will click stuff.
Yes.
Or be like, oh, you got a video? What is this? You got a podcast, 50 episodes. Who put him on? Like there'll be stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
see it growing.
Definitely.
Every year, just like everything else we do here at The Promise, the team, the work we do, events we do, they always get bigger and better every time. So that it just kind of, that will be the trend. Zen goals, meet the goals.
All right, cool.
Definitely.
Cool. Are there any specific topics or guests that you guys are excited to explore in upcoming episodes, maybe in the future?
Can I go?
Go ahead. Yes, please.
While we were sitting here, I actually got a email about doing another episode.
Okay.
From Fatherhood Network.
Oh.
So I'm a father. I have 3 boys.
Three of them.
All 3 of them.
Three of them.
It's tough. And to sit down and talk with people who literally help fathers every single day, like that is their nonprofit. I think that would be really exciting. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to doing the video. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And to see that more engagement. I'm excited to see Keon, have to adjust the color levels for my extra bright bald head.
little sugar cookie and all that.
Yep, little macadamia.
Oh my gosh. Macadamia.
Yeah.
It was this one video that we had to do for one of our partners, and I was editing it, and I was just like, "Wow, I try to love that sugar cookie." It was the lighting. It was just the lighting. It just looked very bright, and it just very like.
It doesn't help that like I was with someone. I was with Satara. She's darker than me, and it just is bad.
Disclaimer: we can talk about this, folks. So
Yeah.
That is
we can talk about this.
It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. But I'd say I'm looking forward to the video aspect. With the 20th anniversary upon us, I'm excited to really see the amount of people that will be open. I hope that they can be able to find, like some type of way to contribute in whatever way, as being a guest.
Yeah.
Talking about their work and how they collaborate not only with Kalamazoo but with the Kalamazoo Promise. Who they are. There are a lot of people in a lot of positions and a lot of organizations, like Jonathan said, that we still haven't connected to. And so we have a lot of room now to do so. We're at 30 episodes, man. 31 now.
Yeah, this is 31.
This is 31. New season, all that stuff. So it's like, let's just keep doing what we've been doing, but let's just do it. Let's do more of it.
Yeah.
And let's continue to make that perfect.
Can I add something?
Yes.
So I know a long time ago we were talking about this idea of having kind of like a round table conversation. And it was specifically, we went to this conference. It was the Black Boys and Men Symposium.
Yep.
And it talked about the struggles that Black boys and Black men have growing up, being in the workforce, education, all that. And we had the idea of let's sit down as Black men and just dive into the topics that were talked about. But I would love to see if we took something like that and had like new guests, previous guests, and maybe had to sit down like, let's just talk about this.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Special episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, for real.
Ooh.
Let this man cook.
Let this man cook. Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like that one Young Thug meme when they had the sounding board and they just looking like
At the computer.
they just looking at the computer just like
Oh my god.
yeah. This is
Yeah. So
this is
We're living it right now.
we're living it right now.
That's
Yes.
funny.
we just haven't gotten around to it.
We just haven't gotten around to it. And it's not like we don't want to. It's just trying to figure out where does that and how do we incorporate that, and where does it make sense to incorporate that. And yeah, I like that.
All right, cool. So with 31 episodes out of the way, that means that, you guys probably had a little bit more than 31 guests. But is there a specific favorite behind the scenes moment or experience while producing the podcast that you guys have?
I have a lot. I have a lot. And the only reason I have a lot is because before we press record, and even when we press record, the episode doesn't necessarily start exactly. The episode starts when you hear the theme song and you hear the intro and then you hear Jonathan's voice to start the episode. But before, it could get real. It could get real.
Yeah.
Real funny. I will say that. It can get really funny in here. Just because of just people, and Jonathan and I are just goofy. That's just how we work, we laugh a lot. So like we'll always have something when we're coming in, and we just, whether it be something from work, and we just just thinking about it and just start cracking up, or our guest will even come with like that energy and that spunk, and they start making whatever jokes, and we just start, shooting the stuff, and it's just like people are funny.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those moments happen before the theme song starts. If there was one in particular, it was when we had we had someone, it's Josh. His name is Josh from Mercantile Bank. And
I was thinking about that one.
we had to, so typically Jonathan starts off with a quote. And so we were like, well, why don't we? He didn't. I don't think we had.
We were talking about dad jokes.
We were talking about dad jokes, and I was like, well, if you want to start off with a joke, I have one.
Yeah.
And so I said, use this one. I said, because he's a banker, he works in the bank and stuff like that. And so I was like, the bank keeps calling me and giving me compliments. They say I have an outstanding balance.
Oh my gosh. What the heck?
So if you go back to the episode and you listen to it, you will hear me in the background cracking up, because that was literally me before we got on.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so stupid, but it was so stupid that it worked. And I was just like, let's just use it. And then I'm just,
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff happens before.
Yeah. even the build up to it, because Kayon was like, don't mess this up.
Yes.
You got to nail this joke.
Gosh.
I was like, okay.
The pressure.
So much pressure.
Dude.
And like, I think for me, it's just, I get nervous. Like, even it's 30 episodes, I still get nervous before I do them. I think, oh man.
I remember the first episode, Jonathan Davis. Oh my goodness. We were in here rolling.
Yeah. Because like, I've known
he's just
him.
hilarious.
I've known him since I was at Western.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it helped me because it was more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I've known him for a long time.
Like a friend.
Yeah. And like we still hang out every once in a while. But he was funny.
He was funny.
He's just a funny guy.
He was funny.
That
I remember when we had Mike Teasinger.
Oh, I messed up his name.
That was on the air, but no, I remember. I guess this moment was on the air too. We were talking about like different versions of stories, and I think I said something like the amplified version or something like that, and that just in reference to like the Bible and stuff. That was hilarious.
There was I made a joke about. I think it was when Dr. Reverend Addis Ward was on here, and I said like the Gouda book. There was some about cheese, and we were talking about faith, and I said, yeah, you gotta look it up in the Gouda book, or something like that. I was dying internally
Literally.
after saying that. And I was like, did I really just say that?
Listen,
And I love the fact that these people that very well respected have
humor.
Have humor,
Yeah.
And say funny things. And the fact that I can get that comfortable sitting down with them for like 20 minutes and start cracking jokes like that is so much fun.
I mean, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Or when Jake Cool, we just kept making
Cool jokes.
Oh my god.
That was every time we were like, oh, that's cool.
It's so corny.
It is.
Oh my God.
But it's so corny that it works.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that was cool. But, stuff like that. It's like the little things. It's the little things. And if you know me, my humor is very dry. So it's just, I laugh at almost anything.
Hey.
But no, I've had being able to, like I said, to have those moments, it just makes everything lighter. It's like, okay, let's have fun with this. It's all about having fun. It's all about what more can we learn and how can we have fun doing so. And so, we like to laugh here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes it better for the lister too.
Yeah.
A lot more engaging, not so
Humanizing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
We're human. We're not. I love to laugh as much as the next person. Y'all know that. So and I'll laugh at things that really ain't supposed to be funny. So that's a whole nother tangent. But
Oh my gosh.
We're not gonna get into
we're not gonna get into that one. Go ahead, Kay.
Okay. So I'm allowed.
I'm sorry. Oh, this is a good time.
It's a great time. Go ahead.
So for somebody who's looking to start their own podcast, what advice would you guys give them?
Find something that you definitely are passionate about, have interest in, and you would want to have multiple episodes about.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're going to be sitting here like, oh, here we go again. And just, something that's interesting.
On the producing side of things, make sure you got the, your platforms and, know which platforms you're going on and figure out which ones you'll stick to. So like for us, we have our website. You're able to listen to it on the website. You're able to listen to it on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and YouTube Music. We're on, plug. We were on Google Podcasts, but it switched to YouTube Music. So, it's all the same thing. That's that Android stuff. So
stop. That's not. It's different. Look. Just because.
Here we go.
Just
Oh
okay.
my God.
No, we get into
got
this.
him started.
We get into this
I got him
all
started.
the time. All the time.
I got him started.
We got to talk about this now because you opened the floodgates. Okay. I used to have Apple products.
Okay.
Apple products are nice. They are.
Mm-hmm.
They're great.
Lovely.
But once you switch to Google, you don't know. Once you go Google, I don't even know what to put after that.
Nothing goes after that.
Because it doesn't need to. You're not going back to Apple. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, yeah.
But know that if it's not for you, it's not. There are a lot of things that are not for me, and I accept that. I live in that.
Yeah.
That's my truth.
I feel like you got to be able to accept
You gotta
the things
be
you can't
okay.
do.
Listen,
You know what I'm saying?
I say for the ones that can, do. For the ones that can't, don't.
It's funny because oftentimes I'll give people tours around the office and whatnot. I was giving somebody a tour, and I was like, "Yeah, this is our podcast room," da 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 da. And he goes, "Oh, everybody's got a podcast now, so you gotta be humble."
You got to. Got
and
to.
not be like, really?
No, really.
Nah, definitely.
Like this ain't nothing about this little.
A scholarship got a podcast. Why?
Listen, and you'll find and listen.
Yeah.
We got 2 different podcasts out there.
Yep.
So and they serve a purpose. If you love storytelling, especially if you know these people, tune in, tap in rather.
Yeah, I've learned something.
All right,
Listen, download, and find out.
okay, they there.
My next question is, how can listeners get more involved with Big in the Community and support its mission?
Listen,
Share it.
share it,
Yeah.
You can
download it. Get
your
us
friends.
get us to 1,000 downloads for the 20 years. You feel me?
20,000.
20,000 for that matter. Exactly. Get us up there. I mean, like I said, the biggest way is to listen, tune into the stories. That's really the biggest thing. We do the work because, I mean, in a sense, that's what we're required to do. It's part of our job descriptions. We're at least for me and my role, I'm here to make sure that there's content for people to consume and enjoy, and be able to share out with other people. So coming from a marketer's standpoint, listen, tune in, share the episodes. Even and from that, when there are call to action pieces, follow up.
Right.
Get involved in what they're doing. Get involved in that work. See how you can contribute. See how your organization can contribute and collaborate. That's really the biggest thing that you can do. We don't ask for much. We not, like I said, we don't sell this. We don't make any money off of this. This is just another added piece of the work that we're doing. So if anything, for listeners, listen. 1, get involved. 2, get involved with the organizations that are represented on this podcast. And hey.
And I've had some people who say, "Oh, you know who'd be great on your podcast?" I love that. Like, let me know, share, and we could get them on here.
Now, this disclaimer: not everybody.
Refer to what, like a minute and 30 seconds ago.
Not everybody.
There you go. There's K-On.
And that's where I come in to neutralize and to make sure that it's on brand.
A good balance.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's on brand.
Yeah.
Not to say that we would necessarily turn people away, but we want to make sure that whatever the message and whatever story is going to be shared, it's going to be of one that we know is going to be like purpose driven. It's going to be something that's going to make sense, and someone out here is going to need this.
Yeah.
We don't want to just put out content just to be putting out content and just to be. We don't need to be doing more content. We need better content. So it's just like, well, let's figure out how do we keep that up. Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Every time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So do you guys I know I've been asking you guys a lot of questions, but do you guys actually have any questions that you guys have never asked each other,
Sounds real personal.
Oh, wait. No, got some questions.
I don't know.
We talk a lot. We talk a lot.
I'm trying to think. Has there ever been? No.
I feel like this about to be a question about you that I got to answer about. So you go ahead. It's about to be a question about you, ain't it?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Yeah.
What's up?
Do you think I do a good job hosting the podcast?
I mean, you alright.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No, you do an amazing job, Jonathan.
Thanks.
No, like seriously, you do an amazing job of just seeing the space that you were in before we started this, even leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
You were very, very nervous.
I'm still.
I was very, very nervous because
to this day.
Listen, but no,
I can't with you.
but like I remember when you were like you were kind of like, you know, you kind of had those apprehensives a little bit. It was just like, you know, you and I didn't know that this would hit the same way that, you know, our previous podcast did.
Yeah.
But like I said, I remember that whole thing. So like to see the progression now and to see, even though you still get nervous, the progression of how more like you're able to flow with everything and everything just, this comes natural now. I can see it's natural for you. And so,
Thank you.
yes, of course. I'm going to always give you your flowers.
Okay.
I'm going to always give you your flowers. I'm going to always lift you up, man.
I'm trying to get like you.
That's what we hear. I'm trying to get like you. You feel me? I don't get behind. Y'all know I don't get behind the mic. This is the most I've ever been behind this microphone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, man. I'm here for you.
Oh, okay.
I do this podcast for you.
Thank you.
Give me a reason to produce.
That's
So,
awesome.
oh, it's my turn to ask a question.
Yeah,
I
you
need to
gotta
ask
ask a question.
Do you think I'm a great producer?
Emphasis on great.
Great.
Emphasis.
Define great.
I'm just playing. That was a very loaded question. That was a very loaded question, and I was already giving you like
No,
the answer.
But no,
No,
the
you're
real
good.
question is: you've seen me since I've been an intern here,
Mhm.
even till now. Like progression wise, where I've been going
Oh.
through. Like, what can
Yeah.
you? Any types of like affirmations or like words of wisdom, anything
Okay.
you want to give to me, you know,
Okay.
just
All right.
whether I need to improve it, whether I need to do better at, what I, you know, anything, feedback. I'm
No.
just,
You've been doing great. I mean, honestly, like to go from intern, prove yourself, stay, get hired on, like you've already proven yourself, and then you continue to build on that foundation.
yeah.
And then just like how you approach everything, like with fun, you know, we can talk about whatever it is, and we get more comfortable like in the spaces that we're in, and then just plus the fact that like you fill in when it's needed, and it's not even like hey, can you please, like there was not that long ago there was the Big Brother Big Sister like a video shoot, and I think I was supposed to do, or I was at least supposed to be here, and I had something else that entire day. And I like stopped in just to see what was going on, and he was getting mic'd up, you know, like ready.
I hate that video. Not, and I, when I, okay,
And
when
he
I,
did great. He did great.
Yes.
He hates it.
and when I say I hate it, I don't mean I hate the concept behind
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It was just me personally because I was not expecting to do that, and I did not feel I was like in the. You when it comes to do the interviews, I got to prepare myself. I was just like, I had maybe like 12-hour notice that I was even going to be doing this. So it was just like, okay, I don't even. So I had to come up with my answers and on the spot. And it's just like
But like,
Yeah.
it was so polished.
Oh.
Like,
I mean, Kaon's smooth with
That's
it.
what I'm
I feel
saying, like-
he doesn't even realize
Yeah.
it sometimes. I feel
and
like.
it just keeps getting better. So like that's what I'm getting at is like
I appreciate
when there
that.
are occasions that you got to step up, lead, like you do that, and then it just keeps getting better as those opportunities come up.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
There was something. So you asked for some like inspiration or something.
You know, any type. I mean, I'm still a young professional, so like whatever gold nugget of wisdom
Yeah.
for someone that wanted to, you know, like I'm gonna flip it on you now. So
No, if it's a question,
what's up?
what would you do if you knew You couldn't fail. Bars.
Straight bars. I do everything.
Right.
I do everything.
But that's the mentality you got to go into this stuff, like where, you know, it's a new thing.
Yeah.
And you just have to say, we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to make it as good as it is, or as good as it can be. And if it sticks, make it better,
Mm-hmm.
and just keep going.
Yeah. And that's been the MO, honestly. I received that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I
And
appreciate
it was
it.
so good. My
He
guy
already
over
knew.
here,
He already knew where he was
knew it.
going.
Oh, I got it.
I
This
was,
was
over,
unrehearsed, people.
I was over here flowing. He started reciting the end of my
Picking up where
bars.
we left off, bro. Come on.
You feel me?
Hey.
But no, we are. I'm excited to still be doing this work with you. I'm excited to have done this work with you. And I'm excited to just see now where we take it. I feel like as opportunities are endless for us.
Is there any additional topics or areas you'd like to discuss before we close off?
Tune into our socials. Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram. I think I said our website already.
Yeah, the actual website.
The actual website. So like we'll still have, content going on, but we're not going nowhere. So don't think that this episode is like a farewell episode. We coming back. And we coming back with some heavy hitters.
Okay.
I'm just saying, we coming back with some heavy hitters. We coming back, picking up where we left off.
Yeah.
Like we never left.
Like we never left.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
What else? Anything, Jonathan?
No, I mean, I think the only I want to get into some of those tougher topics
Mm-hmm.
and actually have some difficult conversations.
I agree.
I think that'd be fun
I think so too.
without like, making it too heavy,
Of
but
course.
at least starting that dialogue.
I mean, because it could spark another conversation.
If we can be the catalyst for that,
Yep.
let's do it.
Well, that brings us to the end of the 31st episode. It was
Aw.
a very special episode.
Cried a little
the
bit.
tables have turned. You
Just a
guys
little
have
bit.
now become the guests.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to sign off with this very special quote. Remember, the power of community lies in the stories we share and the connections we build. Keep listening, keep engaging, and know that every conversation has potential to make a difference.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was really beautiful.
It's a great host.
Man. Give him his flowers, man. Kane,
Yeah.
you did it.